We have our Linux box here. Just have to point out that it is running the SNMP polling method. I also am just mentioning that we have minimal information on the screen. You know, we've got the polling details and stuff, but there's nothing there, and I mention that very specifically because of what we're about to do. So to install the agent, what I want to do is I want to go to all settings, all settings under the new environment. I want to go to manage agents. The next step is one that people tend to overlook because it's a clickable link. It's not, you know, everyone says, where's my Linux ad? Where's my Linux ad? So here, download the agent software. You can install either using a wget, so it'll just reach out, or you can install using yum or apt or, you know, sudo apt-get or whichever package. If you're going to put that on another location or repository, we're going to use the wget in this case. And in this case, it happens to be a CentOS. It's not Ubuntu. I know that a lot of folks are used to me saying Ubuntu as often as I can during these episodes. It's actually a CentOS box. Everything else, all the connections are really sort of just waiting to go. And it will generate the wget command. It wraps it in a bash shell. So I can either highlight and copy, or I can just copy and right-click and copy, or copy and copy, or copy and copy. Then what you want to do is you want to actually telnet to the box. I have my telnet session here. Copy or paste that command right in, and it does the install, and it's ready to go. And that's it. You actually don't even have to, correct me if I'm wrong, in most cases you don't even have to add the node into the device. If you actually add the agent before you've added it to inventory, it'll connect and be added automatically.
That's right. We should be able to see it registered within the Orion server now.
Right. Now we haven't added this one in. So here back on my home screen, you can see that we have Linux agents, and we have another one here that we've installed. I just want to open that one out, and I think it's the next tab down. There we go. It's the Steve CentOS demo. And the reason why I want to mention this is because the agent can be handy in a number of situations, and we're going to enumerate those later on. But the idea is that it's, you know, quick to install. It displays a lot of information that you don't get certainly with SNMP, and it doesn't take a lot. And that either the wget command or if you have create your own internal repository, you can now deploy it out to all your boxes automatically.
What I love about it, going back to one of your principles about simplicity, is the fact that you could pick your Linux distro. It could generate the bash code for you in there. You don't have to memorize. You don't have to keep copies of it. Talk about simplicity.
Right, we make it as simple as possible.
Right, and there's a few things under the hood that are actually very interesting about it also, which is that it's doing double checks for you. If you pick the wrong distro, it's still going to double check you on that. And I think, and again, correct me, it'll actually self-heal. If you say that it's CentOS and it's actually Ubuntu, it'll actually ask for the right download. So it has some, we've tried to build as much intelligence into it, so it's double checking what you said, and then it will go out and get it if it can, and if it finds an agent already there, it's not going to install a second one, and, you know, things like that.
Did we mention it's simple?
We might have mentioned that a couple of times, but yeah, it's simple. You know, it's elegant and simple. So, so we've got that. Now, another thing that's really nice about it that I want to mention here is that if your Linux machines are running on a non-standard port, the agent is a wonderful way to get around that, because if you've got, you know, a non-standard connection for SNMP, you're not using the usual one, you can actually configure which one you want there. But there's one other thing on this screen that is just too cool not to let go by, and that's this little option here, the SSH. Now, I have to tell you, I have spent some relatively significant hours trying to get the Telnet link that used to be there, the old tools Telnet link, to automatically open a copy of PuTTY, to Telnet to the, it was a little challenging to do back in the day. And now what we have is that. And yes, I'm logging in as root because it's lab, and we can do things like that. Do not try this at home. So you've got a login, you've got an SSH prompt right there from the screen. And we always try in lab to talk about how this facilitates your day-to-day troubleshooting in your workflow process. You're working along, everything's fine. Monitoring is that regular collection of data. It passes a threshold, something happens, you get an alert. That's the poke in the shoulder that says, hey, now you need to look at me. We're not building a monitoring tool where you have to hire eyeballs to stare at screens waiting for something to turn red. You've gotten that poke in the shoulder. What's in that message? Well, the URL to this page. You're looking at the data, you're seeing what's on there, and then you're able to immediately come in and start the management process, the troubleshooting process.
And that goes to principle number 3, app-centric, right? Because this is very powerful to manage the applications in there. And you're absolutely right.